NFL fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Pro Football Insiders Football Buffet. We are getting ready for Week 5, but first we need to touch on Week 4. I'm Jeff Hartman, anchoring this show with this great cast of characters. We'll start with Rob Stats Guerrera. What's up, Rob?
Very little, Jeff.
He's a little down in the dumps. It's okay. Coach Kevin Smith, what's up?
Nothing. Hey, Rob, I just wanted to let you know I manned up on Sunday and I made a pot of chili for the games, you know? I mean...
Hey, a nice diversion from your normal chickpeas.
Exactly, right? I'm living on the edge right now, Rob.
We'll say he's trending in the right direction. His stock report is up in terms of the tailgating tips there. But let's start off with our stories of the week. Looking back at Week 4, it was a very interesting week of action. Rob, I want to let you go first. What's your story of the week from Week 4?
The story of the week for me, the Dallas Cowboys, that game against the Green Bay Packers. I know we all like to rip Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is really freaking good. That throw he made against the Packers where he can't even step into it, he rips it like 50 yards down the field, right along the sideline for his receiver to make a catch. He is carrying that team right now. Their defense is rancid. They can't stop anybody. Dak Prescott is really, really good. I get all the playoff stuff. I get that. But damn, that guy can play quarterback for me anytime.
Rob, let me ask you this. Do you like 80-point football games, or do you tend to like a little bit of defense?
No, give me the 80 points, man. I'm sorry. Give me the 80 points. It was so much fun watching that game. I mean, I was rooting for the Packers to lose, obviously, because I think they're going to be more of a threat to the 49ers in the NFC than Dallas will be. But, I mean, how could you not just sit back and enjoy that football game watching it?
Coach, are you in the 80-point club, or are you like, I prefer to see some resistance at some point?
And generally speaking, I'd like to see some defense, but that was a wildly entertaining game. I'm with Rob on that one. I really enjoyed watching that. Right up to San Francisco or Green Bay nearly blowing it at the end and running the clock out. That was unbelievable.
All right, Coach, what's your story of the week?
So my story of the week is that two teams that many people believed would have down years, they were writing their epitaphs, are back. The Kansas City Chiefs and the Detroit Lions. Detroit has rebounded from an ugly opening. With Ben Johnson gone and some of their key players having left town, I think a lot of people just thought, Detroit, they don't have it anymore. But, man, they've scored 124 points over the last 3 games, 41 points per game in 3 blowout wins. And they, right now, look like the biggest threat to Philadelphia in the NFC. They got a tough schedule coming up. They got Cincinnati this week, which should be no problem. But then they have Kansas City, Tampa, Minnesota, Washington, Philly. That's a tough stretch. So we'll see. But congratulations to the Lions and to Dan Campbell in particular for being the Lions in the post-Ben Johnson era. And then, of course, the Kansas City Chiefs, who people had dead and buried. But with some of that division coming back to the pack, a resounding win over Baltimore. They get Xavier Worthy back, and man, that offense suddenly takes off. They're not dead. They're not dead, and I think that's something we can all be a little frightened about.
Now, Rob, I want to ask you about that Ravens-Chiefs game because you went on Pro Football Insider and said the loser of this game is not going to make the postseason. Do you still stand by that and think the Ravens are not going to make the playoffs?
Well, first, I really appreciate how Coach's big takeaway from this week was Rob was wrong about everything.
Jeff said that. I didn't say that.
I mean, I have to give it to the Lions. I did not think they were going to be able to continue to do this. I really didn't. I was dead wrong about them. And I did say last week that the loser of that Chiefs-Ravens game was going to miss the playoffs, and I thought it was going to be the Chiefs. I did not think they were going to beat Baltimore. I know the Lamar Jackson injury happened, but I got to give the Chiefs credit. I was clearly wrong. Now, I still may be right that Baltimore may miss the playoffs, especially if Lamar Jackson has to miss multiple weeks with the injury. But, yeah, I didn't think Kansas City had it in him. You know, it's hard to continue to be as good as they have been for as long as they have been that good. But they beat the Ravens. Obviously, they beat the Giants. That's not super impressive, but it still counts as a win. You got the Jags coming up. The Lions will be tough, but then the Raiders, the Commander, they could climb back into this thing unbelievably.
Chiefs win. Charger, and all of a sudden the AFC West is a whole different picture. I mean, yes, Denver wins on Monday night, but I mean, you're looking at the Raiders were always going to be the bottom feeders of that division, and now all of a sudden the Chiefs are within striking distance after just 1 week of football. All right, I want to go to the story of the week, which has turned into kind of a question that I posed for the panel here, and that is that now we only have 2 undefeated teams remaining in the NFL. The Philadelphia Eagles and the Buffalo Bills. I think it's really cool that there's one representative from each conference that's still 4-0. Of these 2 teams, though, which do you think is the most complete? Coach, I'm going to let you go first.
Go first.
Well, the Eagles, to me, are still the most complete football team. They're the defending Super Bowl champs. They've won 20 out of 21 games. And the one game that they lost in that stretch, Jalen Hurts got knocked out in the first quarter. My gosh, man, that is an unbelievable run of excellence. And yes, we can pick at all these little things with the Eagles about how sometimes they underwhelm for 3 quarters and then pull it out at the end, or like the opposite was true in Tampa. They got off to a great start and then had to hang on by the skin of their teeth. But ultimately, they get it done. They just get it done. And Buffalo, do you trust them? Do you trust the Bills to be great when they absolutely need to be great in the biggest spots? And they have shown over time that they can't get over that hump. And now that hump for them has always been the Kansas City Chiefs. They lost to them 4 out of the last 6 postseasons. So we'll see. But if the question is who's the most complete, I think it's Philly.
I agree with Coach completely. It's Philly. The Eagles did not complete a pass in the second half of the game yesterday. They didn't complete a single pass. What are we talking about here? What other team could beat a playoff team without completing a pass? That is crazy to me. We have seen the Eagles win any way they need to win. We've seen them turn it on offensively when they need to turn it on. We have seen them win with special teams where they blocked 2 field goals against the Rams to get that win. They blocked a punt on Sunday, returned that for a touchdown. There is nothing this Philadelphia Eagles team can't do, and that's no disrespect to Buffalo, because I think Buffalo's really good also. But in terms of being able to win different kinds of games different ways, you have to say it's Philly.
When it comes to the quarterback discussion, though, if the game's on the line, who would you rather have as your quarterback? Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen? Rob, what do you think?
Well, I would rather have Josh Allen because I think he's the best quarterback in the league right now. But you really can't go wrong. I mean, Jalen Hurts doesn't lose. How do you argue against the guy that literally doesn't lose games? It's Allen. I'm taking Allen because I think he's the better player. But like, I'd be totally fine with Jalen Hurts because until he starts to lose more games, how could you be mad at him?
Coach, you agree or disagree?
I agree that Allen's the better player. In the playoffs, however, Jalen Hurts has outplayed Patrick Mahomes in 2 Super Bowls. Josh Allen has not always outplayed Patrick Mahomes. He's been outplayed several times. Now, there's a couple games where Allen was outrageously good, but Buffalo just couldn't keep it together as a team. It's a tough question. You can't go wrong really with either one.
All right, Coach, let's go to your matchup segment of the week. Looking ahead to week 5, what are some games you're looking for from an X's and O's standpoint?
Yeah, I think there's 2 games that are intriguing. One for a fairly obvious reason. 1-3 Houston at 1-3 Baltimore. Rob talked about it earlier. If last week wasn't an elimination game for the Ravens, then this week certainly is. Because if you go to 1-4, I'm not saying you can't come back from that, but history says your odds get real long. And we don't know right now with the Ravens. Is Lamar Jackson playing? As we record right now, his status is questionable. They lost Justin Madwabwike for the season. Man, they are banged up, and they're going up against a pretty good Houston defense. Now, Houston has 3 losses as well, but their 3 losses were close. Their defense is good. This is a huge game for the Baltimore Ravens. Just from a matchup perspective, there's nothing sexy about Tennessee at Arizona, but from a matchup perspective, here we are going into week 5. It's hot seat watch time for Brian Callahan in Tennessee. The Titans are 0-4, and they are miserable on offense. 32nd in passing yards per game. They're averaging 123 passing yards per game. That's pathetic. 32nd in points per game. They're averaging 12 points per game. Cam Ward is getting the crap beat out of him. He's been sacked 17 times in 4 games. He's on pace for 72 sacks. The record for a quarterback being sacked the most in one season is 76 by David Carr. So that's in play. if you are a young coach with a struggling team and you have a rookie quarterback, your number one job is to develop that quarterback. And if they can't do it this week against the 28th ranked Arizona pass defense, a Cardinals team that's 27th in the league in pressure rate, that has just 2 interceptions on the year. If they can't get it going against the Cardinals, then I think Brian Callahan's time may be short.
I never would have thought that the X's and O's segment would go to Titans Cardinals, but here we are. Rob, any take on those 2 games that he just mentioned?
Well, I loved what Cam Ward said after the game. He completely put it on himself. He was asked, "How do you think you played today?" His response was, quote, "ass." I love that. He said, "If we keep it a buck right now, we ass. We've dropped a quarter of our bleeping games." Like, I love the fact that he is calling it out, including himself in that criticism, and he's just keeping it real. I love that. They do have problems. They do need to get it fixed. Frankly, I would like to hear my own team describe their play like that. Like, at least he recognizes the problem. It's not the, we'll get it worked out. We'll be okay. We'll be fine. Like, no, man. Sometimes you got to act like things are an emergency situation. So I like that from Cam Ward. I don't know if I like the rest of what's around him, but at least to me, as a quarterback and a leader, I thought that was great by him.
Yeah, and that Baltimore game is really intriguing because when you're talking about 2 teams that are behind the 8 ball in terms of their records at 1-3, this game is in Baltimore. If Lamar isn't playing, that's tough. And we don't know much about that injury to Lamar Jackson. It's labeled as a hamstring. John Harbaugh was very mum about this after the game. We'll see what the injury report looks like for them. But that's going to be a really interesting game. Now let's go to our Stats on Fire commentary. Rob, you want to talk about overtime rules, right?
I do, because, going back to that Sunday Night Football game, I just feel like the NFL needs to decide what overtime is supposed to be, right? First it was, well, if you score a touchdown first, you win because we're worried about player safety, right? And then all of a sudden it was people whining and complaining that both teams didn't get to touch the ball. So then they changed it to, well, okay, both teams get to touch the ball, but they didn't add any time on the clock. So you've got 10 minutes. You could theoretically have an overtime where one team keeps the ball for like 9.5 minutes and the other team gets the ball for 30 seconds. And it's like, well, okay, that's totally fair because both teams got to touch the ball. You can't be a little bit pregnant. And that's, I feel like, what the NFL is trying to do with the overtime. They're trying to be a little bit pregnant. Decide what you want it to be. Is it either going to be, we want this to be as fair as possible and both teams get to touch the ball, or do we want it to be, hey, we don't care what happens as long as it's over in 10 minutes because we want to keep things to a 3-hour window on television? Like, just figure out what you want, because right now I feel like they're living in the in-between, and that's nowhere to be. And that's why so many of us were kind of bummed that the game ended in a tie.
Yeah, and they have options too. I mean, it depends on how they would want to go with the overtime rules. Coach, what's your take on overtime in the NFL?
This is going to be an unpopular opinion, but I love the high school and college rule where you get the ball at the 25-yard line and you have to score from there, and then your opponent gets an opportunity, etc. And if it's still tied after the first overtime, when you score the next time, you have to go for 2. It is sudden. It requires strategy that is very, very different from the strategy that you employ otherwise. It is intense. Every down bears incredible significance when you're in that scenario. I think it raises the urgency. It feels like, they used to call it sudden death, right? That situation feels like, although it's not literally sudden death, but it feels like a much more intense and consequential situation than the current situation.
Why do you think the NFL would not do that, though? And I agree with you, Coach. I think that would be way more appealing. It would be a better television product, in my opinion, too. Why do you think the NFL would say we don't want to go down that road?
I think they see it as gimmicky, which is kind of ironic given the fact that the NFL has created this kickoff, which looks like a total gimmick. But and the NFL is not historically eager to adopt rules from lower levels of football. I think that's a problem as well.
Rob, saying you're agreeing. Do you think that's the way they should go, though?
No, of course not. They should do what the most entertaining thing is for the fans. That's always what they should do. But you're right. They don't want to see we're doing the college thing, right? Oh, that's a college thing. That's beneath us. We're the NFL. We're the NFL. That's completely what it is. And by the way, I would be fine with sudden death. I'm fine with you had 4 quarters to handle your business. You then don't get to say, well, in overtime, everybody's got to touch the ball or we got to do this or I'm entitled to XYZ in overtime. No, you're not. You had 4 quarters of regulation football to take care of it. You then can't complain about what happens in overtime. Just do what you're supposed to do during regulation.
All right. That's interesting. I love the discussion and the different takes on overtime. Let's talk about the upcoming slate of games in week 5. We're giving some predictions here. My upset pick was wrong last week, as was all of ours, because we took Tampa Bay over Philadelphia, and they did not win outright. They did not cover. So, Coach, when you look at the slate of games, what's your prediction for this week?
We're picking upsets, right? So I mean, what the hell, right? And I just figured if I'm picking upsets, then let's pick upsets. Give me, even though they're at home, this would be I think, significant upset, particularly with the way that the past week just played out. Give me the Jets at home over the Dallas Cowboys. Only because wouldn't it be the most Dallas Cowboy thing ever to look fabulous in front of a national audience and then go to New York and just, author a clunker? That would be a very Dallas thing to do. And I feel like Aaron Glenn is a better coach than the Jets being 0-5. Now, maybe that's, just naive of me, but because it is the Jets. But I don't know. It just feels like that guy's going to get it right eventually. And this looks like a trap game for Dallas.
Dallas are 2.5 point. Jets are favored by 2.5 at home. So you got the home dog going there. I like that. Rob, you have a pick for this week?
Well, my prediction for this week is that whatever I'm about to say is going to be wrong because I have been terrible with these. I'm just trying to get a win. Okay, forget upsets, forget any of that. I'm trying to just find a game that works. And I actually think that I'm going to go with Seattle over Tampa Bay. Now, I know Seattle's at home. They're technically a favorite. It's 3.5 points. So Vegas thinks like they're a little bit better than Tampa Bay. I don't like what the Bucs defense has put on tape the past couple of weeks. And I actually think the loser of this game, the quarterback should have to be punished and go back to Carolina and play quarterback for them, just like Baker and Sam Darnold were there a couple of years ago. But I will take Seattle at home to beat Tampa Bay, and that's kind of scary for Tampa Bay because you lose to Philly, then you lose again to Seattle. You've kind of given back those 3 games that you won to start the year. But give me the Seahawks again. I know all my predictions are wrong, so maybe I'll be wrong again. But I'll take Seattle.
I'm going to go out on a serious ledge here. I'm going to go to Monday night. Jacksonville hosting Kansas City. I think the Jaguars are better than most people are giving them credit. Now, do I think they're going to win the game outright? No, I don't. Do I think I'll take them at home getting 3.5? Yes, I will. So I like the Jaguars to keep it close in this game. I like the Jags getting 3.5 points at home. I don't know. Call it a hunch. I think that maybe that one game explosion, the Xavier Worthy effect against Baltimore, was it a one-off? We'll see. But Jacksonville, I think they are better than most people give them credit for. I know that Rob knows them well because they just played the 49ers.
I don't see it, Jeff. They're not a serious organization. They can't even get lined up. There were multiple times yesterday where they couldn't get a playoff, and it should have been a delay of game, but for some reason the refs were calling them false start penalties instead of delays of game. They can't get lined up. They are a unserious franchise. Travis Hunter, the poor guy is trying to drink out of a fire hose. He is swimming right now. He doesn't know the plays on offense. They actually benched him as a defensive player in the game. I think the Jaguars stink. The 49ers were just a bigger tire fire. I have no confidence in them. Liam Cohen is spouting off to Robert Saleh after the game like he's going to do something to Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh would twist Liam Cohen into a pretzel. He's one of the 5 coaches in the NFL you would not want to get into a fight with. I think the Jags are unserious. I'm stunned you made the pick, but if you get it right, I will bow down before your superior NFL
Notice
wisdom.
I said I'm not taking them outright. Just give me the points. I think they keep it close. All right, let's go to some games of the week. We talked about this before we hit record. This is not an attractive slate of games coming up, but there are some games we want to talk about. I want to start off, Rob. I know what you're going to say. Thursday Night Football is an important game in the NFC West. The 49ers go to LA at SoFi to play the Rams. Both teams are 3-1. Rob, I'm going to let you go first to outline just how banged up the 49ers are going into Thursday Night Football.
Oh, they're tremendously banged up. They could be missing 9 starters in this game, including quarterback 1, wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, tight end 1, left guard, a starting safety, a starting corner. Obviously, Nick Bosa is not going to be there. The 49ers are crippled coming into this game. There's no question about it. They have more players that did not or would not have participated in practice yesterday than the Rams have on their entire injury report. They're at a huge disadvantage, but it is a massive game because the 49ers already have 2 wins in the NFC West. Obviously, they both have the same record at 3-1. The Rams have yet to play a division game, so it's their first divisional game. The Rams were gift-wrapped a victory on Sunday by the Indianapolis Colts. Absolutely, the Colts gift-wrapped it. They dropped a ball going into the end zone for a score that would have been 7 points, and then on the Rams' final drive, they're 88 yards away from the end zone, and they have a receiver fall down or a defender fall down to leave the Rams receiver wide open for the touchdown. And oh, by the way, Indy only had 10 guys on the field anyway for the play. So that was a complete gift wrap, but this game is massive in the NFC West, and I expect the Rams to win it easily.
Coach, what do you think about this one?
Rob knows better than I do. He obviously follows the NFC West more closely. He says easily there. This feels like if you're the 49ers, this is a circle the wagons type game where you feel as though it'll go one way or the other, man. San Francisco's going to put up a great fight and it's going to wind up being a tight contest, or as Rob suggests, it'll be an absolute blowout. I'm curious to watch Matthew Stafford. I haven't had a chance really to see him much this year. Saw him a little bit against Philadelphia. How well is he moving? How healthy is he? And Puka Nacua, through 4 weeks, is the league MVP. He is on pace to break the all-time single-season receiving yardage record by a lot. Not by a little bit, by a lot. His pace right now is unbelievable. So that he'll be fascinating to watch as well.
All right, I want to talk about 2 other games on the docket. I want to talk about Commanders-Chargers. Now, we don't know the health and the status of Jaden Daniels just yet, but the Chargers are coming off of that horrible loss on the road to the Giants, and they're going to be at home playing the Commanders. This is a game that the Commanders at 2-2, the Chargers at 3-1. It's a really important game for both of these teams. Rob, what do you think about this contest?
I am so frustrated with Justin Herbert. How can the Chargers take a quarterback that is so physically gifted and make him look mortal so often? I don't know if it's a Greg Roman thing or what, but he is too good for their offense to be in the position that they're in. They've scored 88 points this year. That's the second lowest in the division. You can't be surprised when the Chargers lose because, as we've talked about, like, the Chargers are going to charger. But it is surprising to me that their quarterback can look so consistently human. It's like Superman playing with kryptonite in his back pocket the whole time. Like, you should be better than you are. To lose to the Giants in Jackson Dart's first start, like, what are we doing here? So, yeah, this is a very important game. But at this point, like, how can you believe in the Chargers? When have they given you reason to believe?
Coach, what's your take on this contest?
Well, I'm in the process of doing a film breakdown on that game for our YouTube channel, and I can tell you this. The Giants' defensive front assaulted the Chargers. I mean, the Chargers are without Rashawn Slater and now Joe Alt, 2 of the best tackles in the NFL. And that front 4, 21 pressures on Justin Herbert on 41 pass attempts. So that's a more than a 50% pressure rate, which is just, through the roof, man. And it was an assault. The Giants are very talented up front. That front 4, Thibodeau and Carter, and Brian Burns. I mean, those guys get after it. Dexter Lawrence. So I don't know if that's going to be a week-to-week thing, but right now the Chargers are banged up front, and a Harbaugh offense is built from the inside out. And so if the inside is rotting, it doesn't bode well for the offense as a whole.
All right, I think these are going to be some good games, and there might be some sneaky good games in here where we don't really think they're going to look good on paper, but they might turn out to be great. And so we've covered like Bucs, Seahawks, and all these games. It's going to be a good week of football for sure. The Steelers are on a bye week, so I get to enjoy a week with stress-free football, which is always fun. So let's finish this up. Rob, I want to give you an opportunity to plug what you're doing with the 49ers for Pro Football Insiders.
So just search 49ers Gold Standard wherever you get your audio podcasts or on YouTube. We pop right up. We're live every single day on the YouTube channel. We're live immediately after games, after all 49ers breaking news. I like to say, just give us a chance. I promise we'll earn your time.
All right. Coach Kevin Smith, Call Sheet Daily.
Yeah, Call Sheet Daily. Wednesday is our whiteboard show, and we're breaking down tight end usage in the NFL. How different teams are using their tight ends. I think it's the most interesting position in the game. And Coach Frank Lasasso and I taking a deep dive on that on the Call Sheet show.
All right, so if you want any of our Steelers coverage, you see Coach Kevin Smith and hear him and read about him at Steel Curtain Network, wherever you get your podcasts or wherever you have social media. Check out Steel Curtain Network as well as steelcurtainnetwork.com. But that does it. Another Pro Football Insiders football buffet in the books. I am full. We'll see you next week, everybody.